Welcome to InFocus. This is our weekly video to encourage and enrich and explore some of the themes that we will be developing on Sunday, and to go a little deeper maybe in an area that we wouldn't actually focus in as much on Sunday. So this week our focus is on the whole area of outrage in our society today. What we're finding is there's just a high level of outrage that's seen in our media, is seen through Facebook, through interactions with people. And an example would be, I think, would be the attitude that people have toward masking and not masking. And if you are a masker, then you think everybody has to have your same values that you have and why you do it. And after all, if you don't do it, you're going to kill grandma. That's what we've been told. And then there's others that go, the masking is oppressive and I don't want to be a part of that. And I just don't like it. And I'm not worried about those things. And so there's this battle that's going on between those different perspectives, and it almost falls along political lines. I mean, there's a reality to that. You see blue states, red states, and how much they have, how much freedom that they have. And so that's one area that people get so uptight over. Another area is, as President Biden has come in, he has reversed a lot of President Trump's policies. And he's reversed the border policy, and he's opened up the border a lot more and is not enforcing the immigration laws. Of course, he's facing the consequences with a massive amount of people coming across the border right now. But we can get all uptight about that. It's, oh my goodness, what is he doing? What is he thinking? And then there's the equality stuff that's going on in our country right now, and he has signed some executive documents basically that says, you know, we have to have equality, and that relates to sports, and that would allow transgender males to compete in women's sports, and that makes it totally unfair for those that are biologically female to compete against that. And so we can get uptight about that. We can feel outrage over that. There's a whole area of his support for abortion and making it easier for abortion in our country as well as overseas, and changing some of Trump's policies on that. And then, of course, there's some that are uptight because of he's canceled the pipeline that was being built to funnel oil out of Canada to our refineries, where we would have benefit of that, because he is approaching this climate change initiative, things that are going on. So he's trying to reduce the amount of oil that we're using. But if you go back just a little while, there was equal outrage from those that are on the left, or the progressives, over our former president's claim of election fraud. I mean, you can hear that now, can't you? And Trump was saying, hey, this election wasn't fair. There was fraud going on, and of course they got what they wanted, and so they didn't want to listen to that potential of fraud. And when he challenged the election, people were just uptight over that. They were going bonkers. And of course, when the insurrection on the Capitol grounds took place, you know, it just sent people over the top with outrage over that. And of course, even earlier than that, we had President Trump's pro-life policies, and some of his choices that he made they would say would hurt the environment. And so there's outrage on that side. Well, what I see is we have a different administration and different policies, and when a new administration comes in, they enact the policies of their values. And we may not like those policies, and that should motivate us to get out and be a part of the political process. But just to show outrage over media, because media is there to stir it up. That's how they sell their media. That's how, you know, CNN or Fox or Newsmax or Facebook sells their media, is they like to see that stirred up because that sells their media. And what we see also is the practice of taking up another's offense. And we do that on a personal basis. You know, we've been talking about political things, national things, but the problem that we face is we do that on a personal basis. Someone will be upset about something or something that someone has done to them, and they will tell their story, and we feel for them, and we take up that offense, and we make it bigger than it needs to be, and then we share it with someone else, and it gets bigger yet. And so there's this process of outrage that is going on. And what this creates in us is a judgmental spirit. When we are so built around outrage, we get very judgmental. And we look for faults in what others are doing. I mean, seriously, we look for their faults. And boy, can we find them. But they can find them in us. I mean, that's the reality of the scripture. What it says is that we all have sinned. We've all come short of God's glory. And we have to be careful of having this judgmental attitude because we all have faults. And Jesus said that. He said, "Judge not lest you be judged. For by the same standard that you judge, you will be judged." And he says it's like seeing that speck in a brother's eye and you're going to be pointing it out to him. And he says, boy, but you're missing out on the log that's in your own eye. He says, first take the log out of your eye, and then you can be more effective in taking the speck out of another's eye. We have to be careful that we don't feed that judgmental spirit in our lives. I mean, that is something that I want to challenge you to avoid. Let's not get judgmental, even when there are things that we disagree with and we need to speak up. But there's a way to go about it. And Matthew 18 tells us the way to go about it. When we are hurt, when someone sins against you, what does the scripture say? Jesus said, you go to the person personally and confront that person over that sin. And if he listens to you, you've won your brother. If he doesn't, you take a couple more people and you confront him over that sin. And if he doesn't listen to them, if it's that serious of an issue, you take it to the whole congregation if it's a sin issue. Well, I think the principle there is we are to take action. When we are offended, when we are sinned against, when we are hurt, we need to take action to deal with it. And secondly, that we are to keep it in the smallest circle possible. One-on-one, you go to that person and you deal with it. If you can't deal with it there, you enlarge the circle a little bit more. And so politically, what does that mean for you and for me? If our representatives, if our senators, if our government is taking actions that we have a problem with, we have to speak up. Now, will it make a difference? Maybe it won't. But we have to speak up. I've tried to make that a pattern in my own experiences. When I see something coming down the line that I disagree with, I will send an email. I will send a note to our representatives and to our senators to say, look, I don't agree with this. Represent me in this. So we have to speak up. So we keep it small, as the smallest circle possible. We take action, and we have to have the attitude that Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, is that we are to do unto others as we wish they would do unto us. So you and I all sin. We are to take that speck out of, or that log out of our eyes, and then we can deal with it more appropriately with someone else. But we are to go to that person with respect, with honor, and deal with it one-on-one or in a small setting. And I think as we do that, if we make that a practice, a pattern in our lives and in our church, that the outrage will disappear. And if we do that regarding the politics, we can say, at least I've done my part. I've made the phone call. I've made the contact. I've sent the email. I've sent the letter. And I've done what I can do at this time. And then when elections come up, make your voice heard, because we have that responsibility. Well, this is Pastor Mike with InFocus, and I hope to see you on Sunday.